All right. Well, hi, I'm Drew, KB9FKO, and tonight I came to talk a little bit about the Summits on the Air program, and actually, let me get the slide deck on here.
And Bernie bring the KX2 for showing help tonight.
Oh, yes. Look to play with one. Okay, so yeah, I have a 9-land call. I've been in San Diego for close to 20 years now. Went inactive for a little more than a decade and got back in hobby about 6 years ago or so. So been having a blast. I love all sorts of parts of amateur radio. I do appreciate the park having a lot of great speaker programs here. I've come up here for a number of presentations and really enjoyed those. So hopefully I can share a little bit about one small part of the hobby. So let's get started here. So yeah, I'm gonna have some slides, talk a little bit. I also have gear. I've got a backpack loaded up. We'll tear it all out. So maybe towards the end of the presentation, if people want to come up, get a good look at the equipment, check out things, ask questions. We'll definitely do some Q&A and stuff like that as well. So I'm gonna look at my slides since I opened their day. I don't remember them. Yeah, so Southern California is definitely a great place for SOTA. So SOTA is a Summits on the Air program. It's an activity that combines hilltopping or mountain topping with amateur radio. Some folks go out and they go to some of the summits, operate workstations that are chasing them from back home. And it's certainly not the prairie out here, I'll say that. There's tons of summits, and even like Twin Peaks inside of Highway itself and Cowles Mountain inside of the city of San Diego. There's SOTA summits within the cities themselves. Yeah, this photo is from the Sierra Nevada. So this is Adam, KJ6HOT, if I remember correctly, and he's a monster in terms of SOTA. I'm a lightweight when it comes to activating summits, but he's active with the mountain search and rescue team here in San Diego. He's going off on trips in the Sierra Nevada all the time, and he's also a trail runner, which I think is pretty intense to say the least. This one actually is in Southern California. Al, who operates a lot in the Angeles Forest, this is on through an Angeles Crest, and let's see what's he got here for radio. I can't tell in this photo radios he's using here, but he's got a temporary antenna set up. And one of the best things about being on the mountaintops is you have to S0 noise, unless it's one of those with all the radio gear and stuff on top. This one's a nice, beautiful mountaintop photo from Gary, another San Diego SOTA guy. I don't want to say where it is, but partially because my Spanish pronunciation is horrible. Cahuilla? That's up close to San Jacinto, a little bit southwest of there. So, yeah, where I grew up to go for authentic Mexican food, we went to Taco Bell. Spanish isn't very good. So in a nutshell, SOTA, you activate, you chase, and you log. So you go to a listed summit, and we'll get to that in a little bit, which ones are listed. Last part of the journey is under your own power. It doesn't matter how short that might be. Pikes Peak in Colorado is a drive-up summit that's 10 points, which is the highest point level for the summits. 1 point is the lowest points for the small little hills. And that one's a drive-up, so it's not very much work. You can go over here and hike up 800 feet and get 1 point for a little 1-point summit. So, and then you work a minimum of 4 stations. Now, maybe it's, that's one of the questions that comes up a lot. Yeah, sure, you can drive up to the top of something, get out of your car, walk 5 feet, and work a 10-point activation. Or you can go like to El Cajon Mountain here in San Diego, which is a heck of a long day hike and just get, I forget, 2 or 4 points for that one. But the thing is, it's a program you do for your own fun and entertainment. It's like DXCC, you're not competing against people directly. It's a self-achievement program more than anything. So, and really the points is based more on elevation. So like for W6 in the Association Reference Manual, I forget what the breakdown is exactly, but summits up to like 2,000 feet are 1 point, and 3,000 is 2 points, and so on up to 11,000 feet for 10 points. So it's generally the points assignments given by elevation above sea level, even though it might be a drive up summit. So it's not fair, but that's fine. That's life. You chase, so chasers work with the activators on the summits. I finally, after doing a few activations, tried this myself. I thought it was, for me, because I'm not like an experienced DX or an experienced contester, so I'm still learning a lot of operation stuff. But it's really good to see the chaser point of view of things. It was enlightening and helpful for me as an activator to see, to understand why a chaser might call tail end more quickly and things like this. Understanding things. But then when you're done activating, either activating or chasing someone, there's a website where you can record the contacts that you made, and then this database system is pretty neat. They have a lot of report generation, so you can see your standings, say, compared to other people for this year in W6 or the US, or you can see your, there's some milestones like having 1,000 activator points gives you mountain goat status. So, and I think that's a fair designation. So you can see how you're doing on that, et cetera, et cetera. But it's pretty nice, and it's the logs, you can actually go back through and look through logging information. You can see who has, if you've activated, you can see which one of the QSOs have logged, people logged that they had chased you as well, so you can see the confirmations on that. So yeah, I still like to call this an excuse to go hiking or to play with radios or both. I'm not sure which, and but that's one of the best things about this program, just for the folks who like to do it. I think the chasing might be interesting too, because a lot of the operators are running portable antennas, like in the picture we showed earlier, or what I'll show here tonight. See, a lot of folks are running QRP, which is 5 watts, or the KX3 will do 10 or 15. Some people lug up 857s and batteries, and actually will run 100 watts full barefoot. But yeah, maybe it's a good way to practice your chasing skills, and pilots do form on the activators as well. So maybe it's a little bit sporting to chase as well. And there's some regular chasers that good percentage of the activations I've done work me every time. So, and there's Gary and Martha in Zero Land who always work me back to back somehow. So a lot of information on the web. I'm not going to show websites tonight, but hopefully you can go and take a look at some of that. But I want to run through some important ones real quick. SOTA Watch, I'd say would be the first one to go to take a look at. It's got spots. Those spots are when somebody, just like DX spot, packet cluster spots, if somebody finds an activator out operating on some band, on some hilltop, they'll post a spot on here, on the spotting system. They do have it bridged automatically from RBN, so it's great to work CW, because as soon as you call CQ SOTA, when you posted an alert time, during that alert time window, it automatically shows up on the spot page, and boom, chasers show up. It's great. I can't imagine how you do sideband 5 watts myself. But they have alerts, so before you go out and activate, you can post your plans. I'm going to be at this mountain roughly in this time window, and the mountain information is available. You can say what bands you're planning on operating. You're going to do like FM on 2 meters or 20-meter phone. And then the summit information is there available for the people who want to look at that as well. They see how many points it is and things like that. Which association it's in, and somebody's trying to work chase all the summits in association. And then the other useful thing about the SOTA Watch page is that it has links to all the other essential pages. There's a reflector, a great message board. It's worldwide and then UK based. I've learned some interesting idioms from the UK from that. But it's full featured, modern, so photo posting and things like that in your forum messages works quite well. So people share activation reports, planning. So they often try to organize like a bicycling week in the summertime, so people bicycle to the summit, which works out. Some of the summits in Europe have guest houses with beer on tap at the summit, which sounds fantastic to me. I don't know how many we have in W6 land. I haven't run into one yet myself. But the main website itself, which has the basic information about the program, which was started around 2002 in England. Somebody thought of it and they put it together. There's a management team. So the organization of SOTA, there's a management team and they maintain the website and the program and all this. They put together awards, like you get Mountain Good, you get an award for that, a nice flag, things like that. And then they form associations in the different regions around the world. So in the US, I don't know all off the top of my head, but like W6 is an association. There's a W7 association, which is broken up into regions, since 7 has how many different states and how many summits. And like the UK, there's a new association in Japan that's less than a year old, or about a year old, I can't remember when it came up. South Korea, all sorts of places around the world have associations. And then the association has an association reference manual, so that'll list, so they, for the SOTA summits, to qualify for a SOTA summit, for each association, there's a minimum prominence. So for W6, that's 150 meters. So means the summit has to stand apart from anything else to be 150 meters above the next saddle to the next higher peak to have prominence. And so people went through, there's some resources from the hiking, mountaintopping, peak bagging community. So there's already databases available. They've been reusing those to come up with a list of summits. Summits get a designator like W6/CC-256. And that tells you which one the mountaintop is. Let's see. So that association manual has like the rules. So the prominence rule doesn't apply like in Mississippi where they don't have like the Sierra Nevada. So there's some associations in the US where the prominence, they made it those smaller prominence so that they could qualify some of the hilltops for SOTA and play SOTA. There's some other regional stuff in the association manuals, like there's some just general information like, well, you know, in the W6 manual, they talk about Forest Service land, BLM land, government land that might be a bombing range, things like that. You know, and just general, you know, be safe and all this kind of stuff, and then point to some resources for folks who may benefit from that. Also in W6, some of the mountains get a winter bonus. So if it's something that's likely to have a lot of snow on top of it, or be more hazardous for travel, in the wintertime, you get a 3-point bonus for activating them. That's not to encourage people to do it, but simply to reward them if they're able to do that safely. And also in the summertime, there's a number of summits out in the desert, quite a few actually. And summer travel is, especially on foot, is something not to be taken lightly as well. So there's a summertime bonus as well for that. There's summits info, so they have a web-driven system to have information on all the summits in the SOTA program, basic information about it, links to Google Maps, all this kind of stuff. And then people can also post on each summit. People can post trip reports or access information, things like this to help other people who want to go activate a summit. So the database I mentioned, so that's again the official record for your activations and chasing, and that's where all the record keeping goes. And it's just from a spreadsheet. It's easy to. Recently, I've just been loading my logs from a spreadsheet and just pushing them in that way. There's a shop for soda swag if you need some hats or flags, things like that. The mapping page is the best one if you want to find out, like if you want to go on a soda activation, you want to go try this out, you want to find out what's the summit that's good. So the W6 Association is broken into different regions, and the summits are listed by regions. The problem is that these regions came in from like geology or something. So in San Diego County, I think it's 5 different regions that we have, so it's kind of confusing to look at it that way. So the mapping page is the best. So if you go to the mapping page, and there's a range tab, and on that you just put in your zip code and say 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, whatever it may be, and boom, Google Map comes up. Summits all marked on there, color coded by 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 points, and you can click on each one of those or hover over them, find the specific summit info. And then, so that's absolutely the best way to do that. Something I did, so I don't know, does anybody remember Jerry Shadd, who passed away a few years ago? Yeah, so he did a fantastic job. For years and years, he took notes and took pictures of all his hiking all over Southern California, and he put out a number of books. This is the last edition of A Foot in the Field in San Diego County. It's a book I'd recommend to people who haven't done a lot of hiking in San Diego, and even for people who have, it's a great reference for lots of hikes and trip descriptions and such. I put together a spreadsheet. I kind of looked through the book and found the trips that he had that also were soda summits. So I put a spreadsheet online, and that's available so you can cross-reference from trips in here. Especially since it's got all the great input, like driving information to the trailheads, agency that might be responsible for the land, and things like that. Topo map sections used, so that's great. So yeah, so for trip planning, the mapping page is awesome. Or if you're chasing, you want to see where see what the summit is and see where it is and all that kind of stuff. A couple other things I mentioned. I haven't really looked through the videos myself, but that might be interesting. There's I think was it this month's QST? Was WG0AT on this month's QST cover, or was that last month? Was it? Okay. Yeah, so he's been on it a couple of times recently. So he's a big soda guy, and he has some videos. If anybody's interested, you can contact me afterwards or email me, callsign@gmail, and I can send you the links. But yeah, his videos are really good. He must work in video production or something, but he has the pack goats. So he's got goats that he puts packs on that carry his gear up the mountaintop for him. I think that's the way to go, right? Pack animals is a lot easier than carrying. But there's a couple of videos he activated with some other folks. One was some hilltop they hiked up to, and one of them they had somebody else with pack horses. It looked like a real nice, easy way to go for hiking, I thought. But there's I'm sure a million videos out there, but like those are a couple that I point somebody to. Just gives you a real quick taste for get up just up the trail to the mountaintop and setting up temporary portable antennas and banging out working stations on CW and stuff once you're there. The photos page, I think that's a Flickr stream if I remember right, a link to a Flickr stream. I love looking through that because there's pictures from people's activations, and not just San Diego or Southern California, but from all over the world, and just fantastic vistas. I mean, it's always great to see the Alps with these mountaintops with the German brew house on top and all this kind of stuff. It always looks great. But then there's mountains in like Slovakia or someplace like this, and you're like, where is that? And it's really impressive to see. So there's more places I'd like to visit just as a result of that photo stream, but it's definitely great. And I think somebody had a photo from a trail. Was it Austria? I don't remember now, but there's a giant statue of the Gruffalo. I don't know if anybody's got kids or grandkids. Knows who the Gruffalo is? Anybody? Gruffalo? Okay. All right. So that's pretty hilarious. So, but yeah. So the Soda Watch page is definitely a great starting point for sure. The main website's got the general information about the program, some getting started tips and stuff like that. There's a bunch of other websites with that kind of information as well. Rules. And then all of the associations and their association reference manuals. I should have looked before I came here tonight to see how many associations there are. But there's obviously across the U.S. now because it's picked up and it really caught fire in the U.S. a few years ago. And Hawaii got added years ago now, and Alaska as well, very recently, which must have been a heck of an effort because I'm sure it's about 8 million summits that qualify with 150 meters prominence in Alaska. So, but and tons of DX. I should actually review that again and see who all was participating these days. Australia, and all sorts of places. So yeah, the Reflector, again, that's a worldwide forum. There's a North American SOTA website and mailing list. So the North American SOTA page has links to the various associations in North America. I think they also list, like, they organize events during the year, like in a summer North American SOTA activation day to encourage people to go out and operate on the same weekend. Sometimes they'll link that up with the VHF contest weekend in June, because mountaintops are great for VHF radio as well. And then there's the Colorado 14er event. I think they do something lined up with that. There's a group in the Pacific Northwest, Portland, Seattle area. They've got their own pnwsoda.org page. A lot going on up there. I think they've done some events where they just went up on a bunch of mountaintops around the Portland area and then worked VHF and worked each other. In SOTA, you also can work working summit to summit. It's like the holy grail of SOTA. That's always extra special, maybe because you're both running QRP and such, and you got pilots on top of you. I never think I should be better about my operating endeavor, better to work more summit to summit myself. But and they, I think there's an award program for summit to summit as well. And I should say too that they often have a challenge, like they had a 6-meter challenge recently, and they had one on 17 meters, I think. So they to encourage people to operate more on particular bands, just and also for the fun of it, and kind of like the marathon, the annual marathon in some ways, for a little bit of extra excitement. And then the mailing list on Yahoo. Why do we still use Yahoo for the mailing list? I'm not sure, but maybe it'll get better soon. But they have a mailing list there, huge traffic. I haven't looked at it in 6 to 9 months now, just because there's so much traffic on there. But great resource for North America, lots of people, lots of info, family questions, all kinds of stuff. And people do travel around the U.S. and meet up with other folks and go on bigger group activations and things. So there's a brand new W6 SOTA webpage. I think it needs, they're still building out content for that. Probably I should send an email to the private into that. And then there's a SoCal SOTA list, which I highly recommend. This started out as a San Diego list, but quickly expanded to SoCal. There's quite a few folks, so there's a lot of people that activate a lot more than I do. There's a ton of knowledge and expertise in terms of, there's some of these guys hike most weekends, they're extremely avid hikers. There's a ton of knowledge and expertise there to draw upon for San Diego region, desert, the Angeles Crest and all of that for sure. Highly recommend it. So if you have any interest at all, definitely a good list to join. And you just, again, you can email or ping me afterwards if you need links, but you just might look for the Google groups, SoCal SOTA, no problem finding that. Not just the web, you can still get information on paper. I don't know how much longer, but I guess you can probably have a Kindle format of it. But again, the book that I mentioned, and if you need the link, but if you
What's the name of the author?
Jerry Shad, who passed away cancer 2-3 years ago, yeah, just after this edition came out. So
How do you spell his last name?
SCHAD. Yeah, if you want to after the talk, we can make sure you get that info and stuff. So, yeah, and I don't know if anybody had a chance to hike with Mike did once. That was pretty cool. Somebody had a funny Jerry Shad story, or Jerry Shad hiking book story, I should say. I won't tell that tonight. So yeah, chasing in a nutshell, you can go to the SOTA Watch page and review alerts for upcoming activations. You can find out what's coming up that afternoon. And again, like DXing, there's a lot of tools. I think there's some applications so you can get alerts. The spotting, the spots, when the spots come up, you can get the spots for SOTA only through custom apps to your cell phone. So if you're really serious about the chasing, and some people are, they've gotten 1,000 points numerous times over. I forget what the leaders are at these days, but it's kind of ridiculous. In terms of how much time you have when you're retired, I look forward to it. So you watch for the spots or use the spotting applications, work the activators, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to submit to the database. If you want to, you can get the SOTA database account, which is your call sign, password, email to authorize that, and then you can log those and keep points and go for the awards. But you don't have to. But then I guess the only thing that we usually try to point out to chasers or new chasers is to remember that the activator, sometimes they're up, they're going to work the 4 stations and they're going to dash, and that's it. And if you didn't get in the pilot fast enough, too bad, right? Sometimes we try to work as many people as we do. A lot of times I'm not hurried, so I try to work everybody can on 20. I should do better about getting on 30 or 40 to work the close-in chasers. I don't always do that, but I should always do that, right? If I had time, luxury for time. But I mean, some of these guys are on some serious summits. There's snow and ice and hazards and thunderstorms, all this kind of stuff. Or they may have schedule limitations. They're up there with people who are not amateur radio operators, and they may not understand why they want to spend another 15 minutes on the summit in the cold wind. So that happens as well. So that might make chasing even more challenging, certainly in terms of getting in quick on the pilot. Activating, so in a nutshell, plan your trip. So that mapping tool, using the range option, finding some summits, or if you're going up to San Jacinto or up in Angeles Crest, you want to pick something. You might also check on the mailing lists and say, what do you guys recommend for an easy, sometimes people are doing a day trip up to LA region and say, what's a good summit I can hit quickly from the highway, and not have to drive too far from a particular neighborhood. Pack your gear. Checklists are great, just like for field day. Portable radio gear and hiking gear. Post your alert. That helps out, because if you post your alert, if you're a CW operator, RBN will automatically post a spot for you through a bridge somebody put together. Or people know to keep an eye out for you. So I think on phone, people have been hanging out near the HF back frequencies. The folks who do the pedestrian mobile type operation, like I think 14285, I'm not sure. So in that sort of neighborhood, but when they post alerts, they do post the frequencies where they're hanging out. Let's see. Then do your activation. When you get back from the activation, log it. So I didn't talk about this. Also, for association, but W6 is following the ideal situation. The activation zone is a vertical distance of, I can't remember this in meters, it's like 82 feet, whatever that is in meters. It's a round number of meters. That vertical distance from the summit, that's the activation zone. So you don't have to be on the summit when you activate, you just need to be in the activation zone. So on some of the summits, that's a tiny little point. On some of the summits, that could be several acres. You need to get there under your own power, but really the program is suitable for all levels and abilities. So again, some of these things are tough, brutal hikes like Rabbit Peak or Villager Peak out in the desert, or they're drive-up summits like Mount Helix, for example. Not all summits are accessible. They may be private property and other ownership issues like that. So even though they're listed, they may not be accessible. So that's something to keep in mind. Be a good neighbor. Self-spotting is okay. So is drumming up contacts on the repeater. You don't work them on the repeater, but you might solicit some contacts through the repeater. It's kind of, but it's SOTA, it's not contesting another thing. So if you need to do that to get your 4 contacts for valid activation, that's might be something to do. Gear, there's lots of options for the gear. There's some regional preferences. I might touch on one of those. But definitely looking for portable gear if you're carrying it in. It's a huge range. Some people operate with just an HT only. Some people are using HT in a J-pole or a collinear vertical antenna with the fiberglass pole, things like that to help get out and work some stations. That's not too bad. Some people, they carry heavy lead acid batteries in an 857. I don't feel the need to yet. I'll tell you why I don't feel the need to go barefoot at 100 watts. KT5X has an insane rig. He's got basically a version of this ATS3, which is this is a 50 meters to 80 meter CW 3 to 5 watts radio. It's an Zolto it's in. He's got a version of that, mounts it to his hiking stick and his antenna and his tuner. It's about a pound, it's crazy. He's a trail runner though, so he doesn't want to carry 40 pounds or whatever. Popular rigs, HT, he's an HT only, he's very popular, especially if you get on something big like Gorgonio, plenty of stations work, right? Yaesu's 817ND PRP radio, hugely popular. You need it. You might consider using an external tuner with that, depends on your antenna setup. This ATS3B family, that's from the KD9FKO in New England. He's been designing rigs for years now. And that one was awesome because he would get parts for 100 kits, he'd advertise it, and be sold out in 24 hours. Then he'd do it again 6 months later, 3 months later, again and again. Mine's not for sale. But the latest version of his design is the MTR family, and that's commercially available now through LNR Precision. LNR Precision also has their transceiver family. I forget the name of it now. Okay, but you can look it up. LNR Precision also sells NPOTA antennas. They're hugely popular for portable operation. KX3, obviously, it was a winner for SOTA when they came out. And I think Elcraft got some of the WG018 and some other SOTA activators for some early previews and teaser ads so that the people are ready to pull the trigger of their credit cards when they open it for sale. And I'm sure the KX2 as well. Somebody said somebody's got one?
Should have thought Bernie to bring it.
Yeah.
Right,
Looks nice.
Yeah, it's very interesting radio.
Oh, yeah.
It has almost all the features of the KX3.
Yeah. I looked at it closely when they announced it.
No 160 and no 6 meter.
Oh, yeah. It's so small. Makes my kids real big. And then there's some regional preferences too, I think, on the gear. I think, one example I mentioned is with antennas. So with antennas, that's interesting. It's still a lot of personal preference, like many things. The compact type stuff, like the Buddy Pole and the equivalents, pack antennas, and whoever's got some of those. Magnetic loops like the Alex loop, which has caught fire recently, people homebrewing mag loops and stuff like that as well. That stuff's popular. Dipoles and inverted V type things, obviously, and that includes, say, ladder line or twin lead fed stuff like a 4488 foot doublet for multiband. Link coupled dipoles seem to be really popular in the UK and Europe. So they're using a dipole that's cut for the bands, and then they have little link jumpers to like using alligator clips, but to make the connections to make the dipole electrically longer for the different bands. So they band switch it by plugging and unplugging these clip leads, basically. Vertical antennas and like a quarter wave ground plane. I've tried that recently. And NPOTAs. NPOTAs are my personal favorite. You can't beat them for ease of setup. You just get one end up in the air, just sloper, is that like set up for a sloper dipole, or set up inverted V style, and throw a counterpoise wire down. You're not guying stuff, you're not setting up stuff with buddy pull or any of the stuff. And it gets out. So it's the best in terms of for laziness and not having stuff too much. Antenna supports, so tripods. I mean, some people, you won't find me doing it, but some people lug a tripod up to their buddy pull or whatever. Fishing poles are really good. I've got an example here I can show of one of the 20-foot crappie poles. And in Europe, I think they've got squid poles, which are, the crappie poles are up to 20 foot, what's for sale in sporting goods stores, outlets in the US. I think in Europe, they've got some poles up to 10 meters maybe. Don't know what they're fishing for with that, but yeah, like this Shakespeare 20-foot pole, it's fiberglass, 20 foot. It's very lightweight, and it's like $20 shipped from Amazon. Jackkite makes some heavier duty fiberglass poles up to 33 feet in length, telescoping poles. I haven't seen one in person, and I might order one. And I have broken down and used these as well in the backyard for setting up temporary antennas, or it's much more modest than a Roan 25 tower, but we need something to get an antenna up, but it certainly works. Trees, yeah, we're kind of deserty here. Not all of our summits have trees, that's for sure. So not always an option. Bushes, dirt, rock. Okay, so here's where the story comes in. That'd be entertaining. The reason I'm not worried about running 100 watts is I'm not trying to get a good high QSO rate, basically. I'm not trying to break 100 QSOs per hour or anything like that. It's not essential for SOTA. But I went up to Cuyamaca one time and to operate, and I didn't plan this, but I ran into another SOTA activator, young guy in the Marine Corps here in San Diego. He's stationed at the East Coast right now. And we both set up, and I set up, I got a fishing pole and used to pull one end of the wire up in the air so I could work some stations. He didn't even bother. He just laid his wire out on the ground on the bushes or whatever. He had a Yaesu FT817 and one of the LDG auto tuners. And he just starts banging out contacts one after another. I listened to him a little bit with my receiver, just banging away working. I'm like, what am I doing bothering setting up this simple, easy to set up fishing pole? It's too much work. So yeah, in the end, that's 5 watts output. So I really don't feel the need to carry something heavier up on the mountaintop after seeing that for sure. So, so I said, I brought the pack that I took last weekend. This was not a SOTA activation, but this is a QRP event. So this is something where about 140 people signed up ahead of time, committed to going out someplace under their own power, be it walking, bicycling, or paddling. I've seen some interesting pictures from past events. They operate for a few hours and work other stations. So it's kind of nice. I actually bothered to take a camping chair. When I do SOTA, I don't bother taking a chair. That's too heavy. But took a chair, and I was able to just stick the pole down through the hole in the chair and support it that way. No need to look for a rock or anything. And in this case, I set up had a balun at the feed point and 4 radials and set up for 20-meter ground plane. Workstations out to Georgia and New York. These guys were also portable QRP temporary antennas. So it's kind of fun because it's a fun event because you're working other people who are also very low power, very simple antennas and portable as well. The QSO rate is not anything I would mention out loud. But so it's definitely quite interesting. So there's a few local, there's quite a few, there's many local hills. They added about 500, more than 500 peaks got added to the W6 Association this spring when they reran the database, or got a new expert from the database, and I think they fine-tuned the prominence to make it 150 meters to match what it was elsewhere. So that's slightly less than 500 feet. Before it was 500 feet for W6. Mount Helix, I think locally would be physically the easiest. You drive up to the top, hop out of the parking lot and all the parking spaces, and you can operate from there. Black Mountain, I think, is nice newbie hike. It's coastal, which is good this time of year because going inland is too hot. Going inland, you have those monsoon thunderstorms over some of the mountaintops, so it's probably like the worst month to activate in that regard. About 800 feet of elevation gain from any one of multiple trailheads. Lots of trails up there, and definitely fun to hike. I don't have any issues with the radio equipment up there, the permanent installed. Stonewall and Cuyamaca seems to be very popular hike for people. Visitors come into town. People from Pacific Northwest, they go operate and activate that one. I think it's a nice scenic hike. There's probably, let's see, probably quite a few other interesting ones if somebody wants to start out. If anybody wants recommendations, again, there's a mailing list for paying people or paying me. And again, like, let's see, Cowles Mountain is also SOTA Summit, although that's a bit of a highway going up and down the trail there in the weekends these days. Iron Mountain's also quite busy. That's the SOTA Summit as well. And then Twin Peaks and Poway just got added this spring. So I think that's it. So I have some gear here. So again, this is the pack setup. Typical pack setup, except I don't normally take a chair. I'm going to bust it out, pull out gear if people want to come up, take a look. But before we do that, do we have any questions? Anybody here?
Mostly CW, always use CW.
I mostly use CW, but there's a lot of guys who only do HF phone. There's some folks who only do 2 meters or do FM. Some people do digital. Some people do 160 meters. Some people do kite aerials with those. I mean, whatever you want to do, right? Some people do microwave. But there's a monthly newsletter that shows up on the reflector, their main reflector, and they have a report from North America, and somebody compiles stats from the database every month, and it shows the breakdown by mode and by band. And yeah, 20 meters is runaway the most popular for sure, because it's the propagation daytime. Because most of the folks activating are activating daytime, although some people are doing overnight things. I did activate Iron Mountain because I went with some folks from working on a nighttime hike. So I did that at nighttime. But and then there's a lot of people doing CW because it is easier. A lot of guys are doing phone activations on HF. Some people have actually picked up CW just for SOTA, which is kind of interesting when that happens to you, just because of the ease of it. It is a little bit easier. But again, I can't speak to the HF phone activations myself, how easy or hard it is, because I haven't done it myself. Exchange required for this, I think it's just, yeah. I normally exchange call signs and signal report. You can also give the summit reference as well. That's required. A lot of people have heard it already because you've given it to previous operators and they don't ask for it. That's fine. So. How many? Oh, go ahead.
What qualifies as a summit? Because specific altitude or sea level?
Yeah. So each association puts together a list of. This is a database-driven system. So the folks volunteer and they put together a list of summits. So in that database system, you got the summit, you got the name, you've got a reference designator for SOTA, the GPS the longitude for it, some basic information like the peak elevation, and then people can contribute additional reporting information to it. But basically, ideally, the association would use a prominence. So again, that summit has to stand out from other bills. If the summit comes down to a saddle in less than 150 meters and then up to some bigger mountain, and that's just a shoulder, it doesn't count. So if you look at prominence, there's a picture and you can, in Wikipedia or whatever, see what that does. But it's based on prominence. And again, there's some states in the US where they didn't have anything with that much. So they went ahead and used a reduced prominence standard for their association. So. How many people had heard of SOTA before tonight? Quite a few. Okay, good. How many people have played in the NPOTA program, the National Parks on the Air program? How many people want to do that? Okay. Yeah, that's. I've seen a lot of traffic on the net, people talking about that. So
How much actual microwave activity do they have on solar?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Yeah, 'cause
Thanks,
I've been doing some microwave activity in the past, for example, working on the extract, the microwave network, doing microwave network weekends, San Jacinto, or places
Yep.
like that. You know, I've got over 1,000 mile contacts
Yeah.
on X-band.
Yeah, so I think there's been a few activations in Europe. There's a few activators doing it in Europe on microwave, modern amount of frequency, not a huge number. I haven't heard about anybody doing it here in W6 land yet, so
Is there any
you
kind
could be the first guy.
Is there any kind of power versus distance versus frequency multipliers?
No, so there's no multiplier system or anything like that. So if you hit the website and take a look, you can look at that. But basically, it's if you get the minimum 4 contacts, then you get the points for the summit. So the summit, based on the height, might be anywhere between 1 and 10 points. If it's winter bonus points of 3 points or summer bonus points of 3 points, and that's it. So it takes a long time to get the 1,000 points as an activator. Or you hike a lot, like a lot. And some of the folks do.
Can you get points for the same summit again, or does that be each individual summit?
It's a calendar year. So there might be a reason to plan trips on December 31st. Work them all before 4 o'clock, work them all again afterwards, right?
What about the 31st and go back to them on the 1st, huh?
Yeah. It's a little bit easier for us, it's a little bit more convenient times.
There's no advantage to working more than 4 guys.
As an activator, no. So it's only if you enjoy working the pile-up. The pile-ups do form. That was my first pile-up experience. And if you want to hand out some points to support other people and stuff. So, how many people think they might try soda as an activator, or who's interested in trying that as an activator? Okay, good, awesome. Who's interested in trying chasing an activator? So that'd be cool. I know in Southern California, especially 2-meter only, because think about it. That KX2 is heavy and huge. Right? You don't carry that. I think maybe one of those smaller handhelds. It'd be much nicer to take that up and get your 4 contacts, right? So if there's more people where soda and available to chase and work activators, that'd be great. I've pleaded on 146.52 and 5.5 and 5.8 for contacts before and come up with nothing. But then again, I did take that HT with the stock antenna up to Black Mountain and Penskitos, and I told the SoCal Soda folks I was doing it, and I just spent like 20 minutes, and I worked a number of soda guys chased me and worked me, and I worked a number of guys in the VHF contest, because that was going on the same day, and I worked our associate director, N6 of mine, in Chatsworth at home with his vertical antenna, which I thought was pretty good. So. Especially from such a small mountain like Black Mountain and Penskitos.
So how does this compare to the national parks and the ARRL? Just bump into that and figure out what.
Yeah, I haven't looked that closely at it, but basically, the folks who put that together were aware of the soda, so that's why there are some resemblances. I think the Centennial program they had, that drove a lot of activity on the banks, right? How many people here activated the Centennial? Some of you guys did. So, and I heard the pilots for the Centennial activity on the band too, for sure. So the national parks on their program, so that's kind of a nice thing to put together. So again, they kind of, they went through the list of different NPS managed properties and put together the list and the designators, so you can go out and activate something. For an activation, do you have to make like 10 contacts? I'm trying to remember the rules for NPOTA. So it might be they have to make like 10 contacts, but it's, you're not going up to the mountaintop. And I think some people are trying to combine the two. So some people are going up on a soda summit inside of a National Park Service managed property and doing both at the same time. So, and then I haven't looked that closely at the NPOTA program. So in terms of like chasing points and certificates and plaques and stuff like that, I'm not sure what they have. But for the Mountain Goat Award, they have this crazy glass molded thing from Scotland. Somebody puts together for that. I don't know where they get it from. So it's real nice. Nice to get one something. Yeah.
Have you been told you thought like Libby Lincoln?
I have no.
Can you get Pokemon characters there?
After my kids teach me how to play, I'll try that. Okay, thanks so much. And now I'm gonna buzz down some here. If everybody wants to come up and check it out. Thank you very much. Hey, before we get things off, just remember, if you haven't signed in yet, the 2 sign-in clipboards are back there, so make sure your name's on one of them. There's a couple of QSTs, and there's a Dodge pickup truck repair manual over here. So if someone has a Dodge pickup truck that needs repair, there's your manual. All right, thank you all for coming. See you next month.
Excellent presentation. I need to see our secretary.